Why can I hear the light? It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 322. This show is going to be mostly about the Nintendo Switch, most likely, and starting us off with a $5 super chat is Hulk Hogan that says, Nintendo Switchamania is running wild in the streets of Tokyo and Nagasaki, dude. And Handsome Phantomania is running wild on YouTube, Jack. Thank you, Hulk Hogan,
Legend.
and your handler. We appreciate the $5 super chat. But with me here today, we don't normally start the show off like that, but I kind of like starting the show off with saying, hey, we got money. So let's keep that up. Let's keep up that energy. With me here today are the beautiful boys. Dave, hello.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm great. When I said are the beautiful boys, Dave, it sounded like I was saying you were two people, but I'm not. I was also talking about Brandon, who we'll get to, but he's later.
Yep.
You doing all right?
Yeah. There are thunderstorms, but it's also snowing. I don't know if that's going on where you guys are. It's kind of a
I
weird
haven't
day.
seen outside in 3 days, so I don't know.
So have you heard any rumbling that wasn't a train?
I did hear thunder earlier today. Yes.
Wild. It's wild.
Yes.
Handsome Phantomania is running wild in the skies for sure. Yeah, it's that weird time of year where it's like super nice out and then it's winter again. And, you just want to sit outside and drink beer. And nature just keeps fucking with you,
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah, you'll have that sometimes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Brandon,
Yes.
you're looking very dark today. And not that that's a problem, because you're normally very bright.
Yeah,
because of your skin tone.
I had an extra lamp in my room and I took it out.
Wait, what?
I had an extra lamp in my room that I
Yeah.
have been putting on when I've been doing this, and
Yeah.
I took it out.
Got rid of it.
Yeah. It's technically the lamp that was in my bedroom, and I kept just putting it in here when I recorded.
Oh,
But
okay.
then company came over, and I wanted it to look nice, and so I put it.
You have one lamp that just moves between all the rooms. In your
It's
house.
actually two identical lamps on opposite sides of the room on two different dressers, and so it looks very feng shui. The feng shui is perfect when I have them on. It has like a nice ambient glow.
Brandon, don't you have a key light?
Yes,
Is it on?
it's on right now.
Okay,
Here.
you just choose not to make it brighter. No, you don't need to make it brighter. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I do. I do have a key light. Is it not to your liking?
The audio listeners are really loving this bit.
And Derek, the show has invested in good ring lights. It's just
But yeah, I like to keep it a little sultry. See, this is what it looks like when I have the light off.
Okay. Is that how you usually like gobbling around when you're playing games at night?
Oh,
with me?
absolutely,
Nice.
dude.
That's how I do it too.
I often have bloodshot eyes after I'm done. There, it's a little bit brighter. Hello, that's better.
No, I wasn't saying the other one was bad. I was just asking the question, you know.
I know, but I'd put some of my own thought into it, and I agreed with you.
Okay.
But boys, you didn't ask how I was. It's okay. I'll tell you. I needed this today. I needed to be here with the boys talking about video games today. So I want to thank you both for being here. And I want to thank everybody, including Hulk Hogan, for the super chat and being here with us today to talk about my favorite company, Nintendo.
Today really probably is like your. Is it been long enough? Can I say this?
What day did Jesus get crucified? What day
No.
that?
I was gonna go with I was gonna go with 9/11. I think that's less
It's more
offensive
like,
to the masses potentially.
it was in April.
because I'm an American, I think, no, I guess 9/11 was an American tragedy too. It's been long enough. It's like, this is like my Pearl Harbor.
That's definitely it's not.
This
too
is
soon.
like
yeah.
my Pearl Harbor, okay?
Yeah.
And ironically, also driven by Japan.
Do you think that 9/11 was driven by Japan?
No, Pearl Harbor was.
You said also. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Picking up what I'm putting down here.
Yeah.
It didn't land. It's okay.
I get it. No, that was my stupidity.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Handsome Phantom Podcast. I am Brandon, joined here by the most beautiful boys, Dave and Ben.
Why you should play in chat says you need to use a more recent event. Radic wasn't even born when 9/11 happened. Radic, in case you didn't catch it, 9/11 was this thing that happened on September.
It had to do with oil.
In one way or another, absolutely.
Do you remember when George Bush was doing a speech and then that guy just threw a shoe at him?
I do remember that.
That was one of the funniest things that's ever happened in recent
He like
memory.
ducked out of the way. He's like,
Dude, he's just, hold
It was
there.
a good dodge. It was a really
W.
good dodge.
Yeah.
W Dodgers and Paints.
if he had a YouTube channel, that'd be the name of his YouTube channel, W Dodgers and Paints.
Who? I'm
But it's
quick.
DUBYA spelled
Yeah,
out.
dude. W.
Listen, I know that George. No president has ever been perfect. George W. Bush. Some people might say that he was less perfect than other presidents, for sure. That's an opinion that people have. But you have to put all that aside and just think about George W. Why are you so bright, Brandon?
Because
Like, when
Riley
you
told me
just-
to turn the
There's
light
a
off.
collapsed sun in his room.
When you just think about George W. Bush like existing, he's just a kind of a goofy guy, right? Like he doesn't seem like president material.
Have you
At
guys-
the time I liked him when he was the
wasn't.
president. I was also like 10 years old, but I'm not, whatever. My point here is like if I were to walk up to that guy right now and somebody was like, that guy was the president, and I'd be like, this guy?
I mean, Joe Biden was our president, but
There's a lot of people who I would say that about. In fairness, yeah, you're right. That's
anyway,
true.
also we all know it was Dick Cheney running the government, so let's just
Well,
not even,
have you guys
let's not
seen
even joke
the
about that.
movie
I'm not convinced
Vice?
Dick Cheney did anything either. Yeah,
He
yeah.
shot that guy. I know that.
So like Sam Rockwell's portrayal of George W. Bush in that movie, I know it was satirical, but I also hope it was really satirical, because if he was actually like the guy that he was in that movie, it's scary to think that guy was running the country.
Yeah,
You should see what the CIA
goofy.
does.
Yeah.
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 They're not.
No, I think that's like we're always like we want more, visibility. We don't want things to be hidden from the American public. And I think that is the right thing. But then anytime something gets revealed that the government was like trying to hide, we're like, holy shit. I wish I hadn't known that.
I'm not going to comment on this situation any further because I need to cross the border in about a month. And yeah,
Listen,
you guys talk.
I'm staying safely here. The guy in the front of the car shot JFK in the head. He did it. It was not Lee Harvey Oswald.
Listen, when I was in 5th grade, I read every book that the library had about the JFK assassination. And I don't think it was the guy in front of the car, but I don't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. And I would know because in 5th grade, I read all the books. So
it was the CIA Operation Paperclip, MK Ultra. Dave, look up MK Ultra after you've
I'm
crossed
not
back.
searching any of this.
Look up MK Ultra.
No.
The CIA mind plot to break
Apparently
the
I
human
need a
brain with
burner
LSD.
phone. Yeah. No.
while we're on the subject, what do you guys think about the moon landing?
Honestly, I'm not going to say it didn't happen, but I'm not going to say it happened. I'm somewhere in between.
I think that's fair.
Why haven't we been back?
A healthy, well, we were back a couple times, supposedly, but not since the 70s,
We just send like drones up there now.
Wouldn't it be so
don't
easy to
need
go
to go
back now
back.
at this point if we were literally practically using goddamn fucking dial-up internet back then? How did
We weren't using dial. There was no internet.
before we were using practically rotary phones?
They still had switchboards back then.
So
yeah.
you're telling me it wasn't some sort of American conspiracy to bankrupt the Russians? That's what you're telling me.
Radic
Yeah,
is
I'm
so
not telling you
confused right now. He is so confused.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say about conspiracies as a whole.
They're so interesting.
I don't know that there's like a single conspiracy that I'm like, yeah, I believe that. But almost every conspiracy theory that's out there, I'm like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not real sure about any of them, but I'm like moderately interested in most of them. The only one that I'm not interested in is the flat Earth thing.
Dude, that one's
I don't understand
hilarious,
how
though.
that one's
It's
just
so
funny.
Bro, did you ever see the clip where like these flat earthers go out?
We just got
and they-
demonetized. I said flat Earth, and
and they and they try and prove that the earth is flat by doing some sort of light experiment, and they actually in the video prove that the earth is not. They're like trying to prove their own point, but then they're like, all right, I can't see the light. Lower it a little bit, which would mean that it is going down because the earth is actually round to an extent.
it's pretty round.
What do you guys think? It's actually not. I saw it's like so fucked up in shape. We always
Well,
think
yeah.
it is. Have you ever seen like I didn't know this for a long time, how like fucked up the world actually looks, because we always see it in like a perfect sphere.
I see it every day.
But what do you guys think about this conspiracy? There's fluoride in the water. What do you guys think about
there?
that one?
That's not a conspiracy. That's true.
That's a thing.
It's making us stupid. That's my
that the fluoride is killing us, or
the fluoride in the McDonald's is giving us cancer.
He just wants to do the parody, which he's not very good at, but
Okay.
I respect it. I
I
respect
would
the attempt.
I would like you to try better.
No,
This is
the
so off
reason-
rails. We have
the
so much to
reason-
talk about. Get
The
back on
reason I'm
track,
not
boys.
trying is because I know I couldn't do it. I have the sense not to try. I
Well,
sound bad
Ben's
enough on my
Ben's
own
just
voice.
not an impressions guy, I don't think.
Hey, Dave, who was I? Who was I trying to be?
I don't know. It's someone who was dying, I think.
Well, you're close. I mean,
We all are, Dave. We all are,
he
buddy.
was trying to be Robert F. Kennedy, but the only reason I knew that is because he had fluoride.
Okay.
If he had just said like, "Hi, how are you today?" I would have never guessed.
I can't acknowledge that either.
You're not right.
Yeah,
You're
you
right.
can't talk about
You're
that
wrong.
either.
You're wrong.
This is the HP podcast. It's a show about video games and sometimes conspiracy theories and sometimes video games. We just covered a lot of ground there in the last 10 or so minutes, and I wouldn't take any of it back, honestly.
Uncomfortable? Yeah.
Well, for you. As a foreigner. You know, we're talking about 9/11, we're talking about Pearl Harbor, we're talking about the Switch 2 catastrophe. All of these done by foreigners. Dave, comment? You're a foreigner.
I don't know. Maybe there's one constant, America. Maybe you're the problem.
You burned down the White House. You can't say "oh" to your own thing.
Sure I can.
Hey, listen.
It's like wearing the band's
Trump
T-shirt
does
to the
it all the
concert.
time. Damn it, I can't say that.
It's like it's like Obama putting the medal on himself, like you know.
Or George Bush saying mission accomplished.
Yeah, dude, we are the world police. Okay.
Well, if you're here with us and you've stuck around this long, you might as well give us money. And you can do that by going over to patreon.com/handsomephantom, joining up with all the other folks who are helping support us. I'm going to be real with you guys. It's only $1. If you don't do it, you're basically saying you're poor. And if you're poor, that's fine. I've been poor most of my life. But I just want you to know that's what you're telling us, is that you're poor and can't give us $1 a month.
Jesus, you are American. I love it. Eagle screeching.
But if you
starting
happen
to sound like that Twitch streamer that went viral for "you can afford $5," the one they always show alongside Brox the Carver, is like, somebody donated. Oh man, give that to your family. Thank you. Oh, Ben.
I think there are like there are many products I consume for free that I could support financially, and I don't. So I get it. Trust me. But I'm admitting I'm not wealthy. So take that for what you will. I mean, you can also join the Handsome Phantom Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord. We appreciate you guys hanging out over there with us, talking all sorts of crap on Nintendo, misconstruing things I say, Edward Walton, all the above. Thanks.
You said someone's name.
I said what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it. Guys, let's get into some news. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Directs. And yes, I said that in a plural way because we had a Nintendo Direct last week and we had a Nintendo Direct this week. The first Nintendo Direct was about the Switch 1. And they talked about a bunch of different announcements, a bunch of different games specifically. I want to see if there were any that spoke to you guys directly. We don't need to go through all of them, other than to say, hey, the Switch 1, in a week you're not going to care about it anymore. Here's some stuff to remind you that it still exists, and it'll continue to sell physical units of the Switch 1. But just in case you forgot, the Switch 1 still exists. There's still going to be games on it. Anything that stood out to you guys, Dave? I know where you're gonna go with this.
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious. That was the heavy hitter from that show. I do want to shout out Gradius. I don't know the correct way to say that, but that to me, and I'll be honest, because of Habroxia, that to me it just screams Switch. So I'm glad to see something like that coming to Switch, because I think a game like that is just perfect for a fun little handheld. That's a weekend game. That's something you can throw on quick and have some fun with. So,
well, it's all the old ones plus a new one, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's some classics there and some new stuff, and I think that's a nice little collection. So, other than that, there was Metroid Prime. Obviously, I don't know if you guys want to get into that right now, but Metroid Prime looks fantastic. It's finally here. This is a game that I think a lot of people thought may never come. And we finally have seen it. And it's timely for me because I've been trying to revisit the series. I played Metroid Dread last year. I played Metroid Prime 1. I have Metroid Prime 2 waiting for me. I'm not going to go back and play the older Metroid games, but this is really good timing. And I think, when we have hiatuses in game franchises like this, there's always the risk that they're going to kind of screw it up. They're going to try to modernize it or evolve it in a way that kind of takes it away from what it should be, which is interesting for Metroid Prime because, the jump from Super Metroid to Metroid Prime was so evolutionary, but it just works so well. I was a little bit worried, for a while that they were going to get weird with it, but they haven't. This literally looks like a proper sequel to Metroid Prime 3 Echoes, and it's coming later this year, so excited. The psychic abilities look really, really cool. They don't look too gimmicky, but they do obviously utilize some of the Switch hardware as well as the new Switch 2 hardware, which we'll talk about soon. But it looks mostly what I want in a sequel to Metroid Prime 3 with just the right amount of new stuff. And it looks really good too. So I don't know. What did you guys think about the March Direct, we'll call it?
Brandon, I'm sure you were really interested in it. Anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, actually the standout piece for the whole show, and actually something I am legitimately excited for is new Everybody's slash Hot Shots Golf. Very, very excited for this.
Yes.
I was a little concerned that it was going to be a Switch thing, but I believe I have seen afterwards that it will be coming to other things. So I am very, very, very excited. Everybody's Golf was one of my favorite PlayStation 4 games. I played it for many, many, many hours, and I've always been a fan of the series. I knew it would come back at some point. Do you know if Clap Hands is doing that?
No.
They're not. Okay. I'm assuming it's going to be, the same mark of quality, but I really enjoyed what Clap Hands did with that, and I was sad to see it go. They had to take down the servers, I'm sure, because of maintenance, or not maintenance, I guess, like upkeeping.
Yep.
I'm sure just cost more than could be justified, but I'm glad to see it's back.
If I had to guess, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
If I had to guess in the last days of before, like, let's say prior to them announcing they were shutting down the servers for that game, you and me and Dustin were probably the only ones still playing it. So I'm sure the cost was not justified at that point.
Possibly, yeah, very, very possible. We were a large amount of the audience.
No.
But obviously enough to bring it back. So I'm very pleased to see this. And to be honest with you, that's about it that I cared about in this showcase, really. I mean, the Pokemon stuff looked cool. We'll get into the Switch 2 stuff. And I think that's the only reason I'm even passingly interested in this Pokemon game is because of the Switch 2 news and the things that they've said about that. Also, the new Pac-Man game, what the fuck's it called? Shadow Labyrinth.
Dude, that was going to be the one I called out.
Ben, take it away because, I was just going to say, I don't like these kind of games necessarily. I've been trying to get more into them, but the fact that it's Pac-Man and that it's so strangely different from the source material essentially intrigues me in a way. So it's like grabbing me in that way. But what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that you kind of summed it up there. Like,
I'm sorry.
There's nothing really that intriguing to me about this game. I'm sure that it's going to be fun and going to be a good game, but just the fact that you're running around with a little ball that is not like, oh, that's kind of like Pac-Man. It's Pac-Man. And he's just like hanging out there. And sometimes he goes into a different mode and he just goes around and gobbles up little balls and goes around the walls and like, why? I don't understand.
Pause.
Yeah, pause. I understand. I understood what I was saying. Don't worry. So I'm interested in it. I don't know if I'm going to play it, to be real with you. But just the mere fact that it exists was like one of the things that stood out to me from that. And then like he can, when you beat a boss, I think he like turns into this giant hulking shadow and monster and
it's pretty crazy.
Wild stuff.
Dude, what's crazy about that too is I could put that game like played in front of my parents who have a very intimate knowledge of what the fuck Pac-Man is, and I don't know that they would like, I don't know, they may never make a connection, and that's what's so interesting about it to me is that it like is, but it isn't.
Even though Pac-Man's on the screen doing Pac-Man things, you don't think they would figure it out?
It's just so different, man. Look at it visually, okay? To someone that like, let's say, my parents grew up in the coin arcades, like that was something they did often, right? And it's like that as Pac-Man. So to see something so vastly different, this like shadowy man and then this thing gobbling something up, I don't know that everybody would make the connection unless it was like in front of their face.
It's like when you see an actor at a coffee shop and you're like, is that Keanu Reeves? Nah, like it just takes you a second because it's not in the right place. Yeah, that's kind of how that game is.
Exactly. It's context. It's context.
Brandon, were you? Yeah, I think you were with us. Oh, you don't know Succession though. We saw one of the guys from Succession at a coffee shop in New York City.
Oh, okay.
My wife was like, and I was like, who is it?
It's him.
I looked at him and I'm like, I don't. Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyway, it's him.
Off on a tangent. All right, that's enough of this old crap. We don't care about the Switch 1 anymore. It's time to talk about the Switch 2. Unless there was anything else that you guys wanted to talk about from last week's presentation. Okay. This comes from GameSpot, and it says the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct April 2025. All the biggest announcements. So let's just go down through what they have here. And I want to talk about the Switch, any features or anything that we're interested in, some of the details. Let's talk about the games, and let's save the whole conversation about pricing for its own conversation afterwards, because I think we'll all have a lot to say about that. But But let's just talk about the console and the games for now. And when I say save it, I mean like directly after this conversation. We got a look at Mario Kart World, which is coming out with the Switch 2. We knew a new Mario Kart was coming, but we didn't know exactly what it was going to be. That was revealed. We were told about the C button on the Switch 2, which is going to activate game chat and other social features, apparently. There is going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 camera, which will plug into a USB port on the top of the Switch. So essentially a webcam. Thank you, Nintendo. We all needed that. The Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be 1080p, LCD, will support up to 120 FPS, and it will offer HDR as well. It will also support 4K, as far as I'm understanding. I think I saw a thing earlier, but not at 120. That's more hardware, I would imagine, than that's more a software limitation than a hardware limitation. The Joy-Cons will be able to act like mice. We saw one game demonstration today that showed how that works. Very gimmicky. It's the new gimmick for the console, I think. We'll talk about that as well. And then we found out it's going to have 256 gig of internal storage. I'm pretty sure the first Switch had 32. So that's quite the upgrade, although the games will probably be bigger as well. Found out it's going to release on June 5th. It's going to cost 450 United States dollars, which is about 2,500 Canadian dollars. If you want to get the bundle, it'll be packaged with a digital copy of Mario Kart World for $500. There are new game carts, which are essentially the same. They're just red. That are going to be with it. And I'm just going down through this list GameSpot throughout. They're going to have Game Share, which we didn't talk about from the Switch 1 presentation, or from the original Switch presentation. We could talk about it here. The Switch 2 Pro controller looks almost identical to the original Switch controller. There's a few functionality differences, and they also have that C button for the game chat feature. They announced you'll be able to transfer data for saves, for digital games, and plenty more. Between your old Switch 1, your old stinky, smelly old Switch 1 and your Switch 2. They'll be having a pack-in game that will not be pack-in. It will actually be paid and digital only. That will walk you through the Switch 2 hardware with mini games. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, enhanced for Switch 2, paid upgrades. We are assuming, no, that was confirmed. They'll be paid. We just don't know the price yet. Metroid Prime 4, which of course is going to be on the Switch 1 as well, but some new details on that for the new Switch. And then they talked about a bunch of games that are going to have like some upgrades. They talked about, I can't remember what else, some other games as well. We've got a lot to talk about there. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Dave, you are the one who hates the Switch the least of the three of us, or Nintendo. Not to say I hate them at all, but Brandon definitely does. So let's start with you.
Just overall thoughts on the show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't really present that well. Overall thoughts on the show, anything specific, but not encompassing price yet.
It was a weird show for me. I think I had some ups and some downs, and I think overall it was a miss for me. I kind of thought that, Mario Kart is great. It's a great series. I'd love to. It's a game, if you put in front of me, I'd have a great time with it. But it's never one that I've rushed to buy on any Nintendo hardware I've had. So given that the show kicked off with that, it looked great. But someone in our Discord kind of said, like, when I want to play Mario Kart, I just want to play like on a course. Like, I don't want to do all this open world stuff, and it's got a battle royale now, a battle royale mode. It's not a battle royale game. It's got a mode. And like that stuff's cool, and I get why it's in there, but it's, for me personally, it's just not a big selling point. So, overall Mario Kart World looked really, really good, and then, there was a lot of time spent on social features, which all seemed a little bit gimmicky to me. And I know they're going to enhance the experience for a lot of people, but again, just not, I've never had Nintendo Switch Online, so these just aren't hot buttons for me. And then there was the middle of the presentation, which was just a lot of upgrades. So existing games and 10, $20 and they're slightly better on Switch too. And I that stuff just doesn't work well with me. And then, so, I'm kind of going down like this. And then we get to Donkey Kong. And I think that was the best game of the show for me because it's clearly inspired by Deep Rock Galactic, right? So
Obviously, yes.
I was looking at it and I even said in the Discord, I'm like, okay, this is Odyssey 2 because I'm thinking like you can't just have Mario Kart at launch and then nothing in holiday, which we ended up finding out the Donkey Kong's going to come out in July, I believe. So there's still a big gap in holiday, but I think, for the people who are going to be day one for this, having Mario Kart and then Donkey Kong shortly after as native Nintendo Switch launch titles, I think is great. That's a great start. But it's just kind of it really sold this awkward middle ground that we get sometimes when a console is kind of a successor but also kind of like has this blurry in between. And I don't know, I started to doze off a little bit with the amount of time that was spent on the upgrade paths. And it's Nintendo can be shitty about this stuff at times, and I thought that direct was more shitty than it was exciting for me. So I think it's a good start, but probably not. I don't know. I was disappointed. I came away disappointed.
Dave, I want to resonate or challenge something you said a minute ago. You said you can't just put out Mario Kart and nothing else for however long. And the example of this working that I'll give to you is the Switch 1 when they came out with Zelda and nothing else until Odyssey months and months later. But yes, I generally agree with you.
Here's the difference, Ben. The Switch was $300.
Yeah.
This is $450, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. Nintendo can do that, and they can be successful, and they can sell a lot of copies. And the good thing is with all of the Switch 1 library, they have an install base now.
Correct.
And it's not just backwards compatibility, but it's this enhanced thing. So they can sell that and people will buy it. But it's a different situation for me. But I get what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Dave came away from it disappointed. I actually was pretty hard on the show, boys. I don't know. I was pretty hard on the show. Maybe there was a couple standout things that kind of made the show for me. But I wanted to go into this show being convinced on why I wanted to switch to, because I didn't want one. And part of me thought I would get FOMO and just buy one anyway and then not play it very much. But I came away from this show being a little bit more hot than I was before on it, truthfully. I do want to also offer a counterpoint to Dave's Mario Kart thoughts. You were saying like the Battle Royale mode, the free roam mode. I'm in agreement with you in the case that that's not Mario Kart. Completely. I agree with that. But what I do appreciate about Nintendo is, like Ben said, they could have very, very, very easily put the worlds in, repackaged it, and sold it for the price it's going to be sold for, and everyone would have bought it. So even though that's not why I'm coming to Mario Kart for that experience, I'd like to see what Nintendo has to offer, because they could have very easily charged you the premium that they're going to charge you and done nothing different, and it would have sold like hotcakes. It wouldn't have mattered, but they didn't do that. So that I do appreciate about it. I know Nintendo will put some interesting things in the modes that they put forward, and I am slightly interested in the free roam option, as long as it's not, completely devoid of meaning other than just riding around. You could take pictures with your friends and go like I don't care. I don't care about that. If there's like some reason to do it, it's like mini game or like, some benefit, you can get coins to or like find secrets or something like that. Like I'll be interested for that reason, aside from trying it a time or two. But yeah, I actually came away pretty hot on it altogether. I will say my perception is a bit skewed because some of my favorite things were in this show, surprisingly. Donkey Kong looks great. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm a huge fan of Mario Odyssey, and this was very akin to that in a lot of ways. I'm not personally a fan of Donkey Kong, not because I don't like him, Most of my experience with Donkey Kong has been me playing him in Smash. That's the only reason I'm not nostalgic about Donkey Kong, is because I don't really have an attachment to the IP itself. But the standout for me, man, it's got to be the Dusk Bloods. Am I right, boys? A new From game. Who would have thought a new From game? Really? In an exclusive From game. Not only would I not have ever guessed in a million years that we would have gotten a From announcement, even if it is an entire year out or more at this point, but that it would be a Nintendo exclusive is wild to me. And that, boys, that in and of itself is pretty near a console seller for me. I'm just gonna keep it a buck, right? And then they slap my little From Software bean again, and they give me the Elden Ring on the go. You know what I'm saying? With some new content. So they give me the 1-2 buckle my shoe, and that's all I needed. I like the Mario Kart, I like the DK, I like the Dusk Bloods, and we still don't have a ton of information. I'm seeing some like mixed things going around about Dusk Bloods, maybe like a PvPvE sort of scenario is what I was seeing, which is very different.
Hunt. Did you guys see anything like it's a hunt type game?
I think Poot did that. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I haven't seen that much.
I don't think it was him. I saw it somewhere else. But
oh, okay.
Clearly there is, everyone's joking about it being fucking Bloodborne 2. Welcome. Whatever. But like clearly it's a very different experience. And I love to see that once again, after Night Rain, From Software is taking the feedback from the community that multiplayer is a very driving factor in what people want to do in their games, even though it's not historically in the forefront of the gameplay. So I appreciate that they're going in that direction. Overall, I did make a joke at the beginning, but I did think it was an interesting show. I said I watched it all, and I did, but there was a couple of the shit that I didn't care about, like they show off GameCube games. I skipped through a tiny bit of it, but I did watch it all from front to back, aside from a little bit of skipping from stuff that I knew I didn't actually give a fuck about. So I do find the camera to be a bit gimmicky, but I also think there's some really unique functionality that is attached with that, with some really interesting potential applications to that. If they can manage to not be Nintendo and somehow integrate this into some sort of streaming platform, I feel like that could be a huge driving factor in selling more camera units. Albeit I'm sure they're not making much money off it, but I don't know. I just see a lot of cool things coming from that. It could fizzle and be nothing, but I do like for instance, not necessarily like playing Mario Party, but when your character was running around, your little icon was there. That was kind of cool. Playing with people online. That being said, I haven't really subscribed to Nintendo Online, so I don't know that I would be getting much use out of that sort of thing. But overall, some very interesting things. I was not expecting 4K support necessarily. I was not expecting 120 hertz, although I would be surprised if anything other than Minecraft with the render distance turned way down, or like Deep Rock or something like that would actually be able to hit 120. But it was good, man. Yeah, I liked it. And I think it's skewed, right? I think it's very skewed for me because there were very exciting announcements that were unexpected, but I'm willing to acknowledge that in myself.
Overall, I liked it. Now, to clarify, I did not actually get a chance to watch it just because I've been working all day, but I just was following along with announcements on Twitter and elsewhere, and then reading some recaps and everything. So, I like what I've seen. I don't know that I would have liked the actual presentation based on what you guys have said. But I do like Nintendo games. I like the Switch. I mean, even though I haven't played the Switch very much in the last couple of years, as compared to what I did in the first few years, it's still one of my favorite consoles of all time. So just having another iteration of it is really cool. I agree with the thought about the camera being a little gimmicky, and I never love Switch's gimmicks. The gimmick of the Switch was that it was a console and a handheld, which was just very practical for me. So it wasn't as much of a gimmick on that one. But with this one, then you have the controllers acting as mice. I'm still not really sure if I'm sold on that, although, they are already showing off some integration of that in the gameplay, which maybe that's going to end up being cool. we will see. Other than that, you guys echoed a lot of my thoughts. I think that a lot of the stuff we saw is good. I think that the hardware is for the price point it's at, for the time in our, I don't know, economy that we're in, and where we're at as far as other console prices and everything. Like, I think it could have been a little cheaper for me to be more hyped, but it's not out of line with what I was expecting. So I guess that I'll go with that. I would have liked to see it have a little, more under the hood, so to speak. But I also know that would have come with more of an increased price. So, you're taking the trade-offs where you need to. I'm happy that I do not have to buy a new Pro controller, because I will never need that C button, most likely, the way I play Switch games. And so I can use my old one, and that's great. And I can use all of the 1,000 Joy-Cons I have in my house, not attached to it, but I can use them. So that's awesome. There were some crappy things that I think that Nintendo did, just like Nintendo always finds a way to make something crappy. But it seems like there was more good than bad for me here. With the fact that it is going to be backwards compatible for the most part, the fact that there are going to be upgrade paths for some of their more high profile games, the fact that my old accessories will work with it, like all of these things added up to be more positives than negatives for me about the console reveal. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come in the days to come. Very excited about Mario Kart. I love Mario Kart. I don't think it's going to be our traditional Mario Kart. So, maybe it's going to be great, or maybe it's going to be terrible, but either way, it's Mario Kart. And I'm excited for Mario Kart. I'm sorry. That's who I am, Dave. Get off my back. I saw that they announced later in the day that one, Zelda Echoes is getting a free upgrade.
Yay.
Which is great for me. Too. Yeah. I already that's why I have Echoes sitting here. I spent $60 on that. I need to buy a $450 machine to run it.
Clearly.
That's the problem. I saw that Mario Party Jamboree, which is on its way to my house right now. I ordered it earlier this week to play with the family, because we play Mario Party and Mario Kart all the time for the N64 still. And so I was like, let's just get. My wife was like, I've been playing these games for 30 years. Can we get the new one? And I was like, oh yeah, we can do that. Sure. I got it for $40, so it was a steal. But they're also going to be offering an upgrade pack, which, hey, even if it's $20, I'm still getting it for $60 total. So I'm cool with that. Especially for games that I play with my whole family and I play them frequently. So all that to say, I'm also kind of with you guys. I've had Nintendo Online, not the higher package, but the base one, because I do like the family share and my kids access to old games. And I don't want them to have a barrier, if I can control it, for them to play old games. And they like playing old NES, SNES era games, which is awesome, because I think that some of the best games ever made are on those systems. And I love the fact that they want to play them, so I'm willing to spend the $30 a year or whatever it is to have that opportunity for them. And that's coming from I don't like to pay for anything, so tells you what I think about old games. And I agree, guys. Donkey Kong, give it all to me. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we get into talking about our feelings on pricing in general? All right. So the big thing, as we kind of mentioned earlier, the Switch is going to be $450. That's $150, let's just call it 2017 money, the same as the current day money. It's $150 more. The only game I think we've gotten a price for that is Switch 2 exclusive is Mario Kart World. It is going to be $80. I've seen some stuff. I haven't actually got to look into this that much, that the physical version is going to be more expensive than the digital version.
Yikes.
Which I think, as a physical lover, sucks. But I think there are two things at play here, and I'm just capitalizing the conversation. But one, they want you to move in their digital ecosystem, so it's incentivizing you to some extent. And two, Well, three things. The second thing is, there's these new tariffs in place, and who knows where the economy is going to go. So they want to protect that to some extent. I understand. And then the third one is, I've said for a long time, like, why does the physical version and the digital version cost the same amount of money? It costs you more to manufacture the physical version. And I wasn't hoping that they would make the physical version cost more. I was just hoping they'd make the digital version cost less, but we got what we got. I'm sorry.
Yikes.
I'm going to take this one as my own personal fault. But Donkey Kong, which is also going to be on the Switch, as far as I understand it, is priced at $70. I assume because it's cross-platform. And then I'm sure we're going to have other games priced all over the place, especially third-party games and whatnot. But Brandon, talk to me about the price point of the console, as well as us seeing this brand new Switch 2 game priced $20 higher than the last generation we saw on Switch.
Right. I honestly thought it was going to come in right around 400 is what I thought. And it is. It is right around 400. And I wish, like you said earlier, that we got a little bit more of an under the hood, so to speak, presentation here. It was a little bit of that, but not very much. So I find it to be a bit of a hard sell at 450 when you could, for $50 more, buy a significantly, to my assumption, a significantly more powerful machine, albeit not a handheld one, but a significantly more powerful machine with an Xbox Series X or a base PS5. So that I feel like is a hard sell. I feel like the redeeming quality of that is that, obviously you get the trade-off of playing Nintendo's excellent IP. But that seemed a little much for me. Just to the general public. I mean, if money wasn't an option for me, obviously I wouldn't have any feelings about it, but it's definitely not something that I would spend easily, is what I'll say about that. I think I looked it up today. As far as the price of the games go, I think the change from 50 to 60 was like in 2005 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've had the same price games for 20 years. Right. Only recently with the newest generation have we seen the increase to 70 in some games, a lot of first party things or like bigger budget things. So it's way past due. I'm not very happy about it. I just did some very quick math with somebody at work. Something literally, it was the quickest math I could possibly do, but something like inflation is 55% higher than it was in 2005. And if I calculated $60 and 55% of it and added it on top of $60, it was like $83, which is about where the price point should be. I'm not really giving it a pass because I'm not happy about it as someone who likes to purchase physical over digital, especially the $10 bump just kind of stings a little bit. Paying almost $100 for a single piece of physical media really pains me. But I guess it was something that I knew would happen at some point. I will make a prediction here, and it's not a very profound prediction, and it's something that I've seen a lot on the internet today, is that this is kind of the tipping point. We're going to see in the next year that a lot of new games are going to be coming out at a higher price point of $80 from this point forward. So it's a new norm. I'd say get used to it, and that's just my prediction, but I don't know. It doesn't feel good that it's $450, especially with how close that is to the price of the parallel market, because I don't even, necessarily think the Switch kind of performs on its own as far as I'm concerned, to the parallel market of the Xbox and the Sony PlayStation. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. $80 sucks, but you want to play Mario Kart, you want to play Mario Kart, and you want to play DK, you got to pay $80. So that just is what it is, man. It's a long time coming.
Hey, DK's only 70. Get it straight.
I don't get that.
I think it's because it's cross-gen. I think. I don't know what I think. Dave, over to you.
We need to fact check that Donkey Kong cross-gen thing. Because I I thought it was exclusive. I just double checked, and I can't see anything saying that it is on
Oh,
Switch
okay.
One, so if we can
I'm
check
going
that.
off what I saw on either Twitter or Discord or something briefly. So you may be correct in that.
Yeah. Well, I'm babbling away if somebody wants to check that. But as far as the games go, I'm okay with this. I've always held the utility argument, the dollar per hour for video games has always been really, really good. And you know, as you both alluded to, a jump in price has been a long time coming. And whether it's $80 or $100, the amount of time that I generally get out of a full price video game is still really, really good, really good value. So I'm okay with it. And you know, the comparison that's always thrown out there is a movie ticket. If you compare what you're paying for a movie ticket for hour and a half, 2 hour movie compared to a video game that you could easily put over 100 hours into, depending on the game, it's good utility. And to me, that's kind of where I stop with that. Another little thing, I like that the cartridges are red. It's a small little touch, but I do like that they did make that change where all the Switch 2 cartridges are going to be red. Nintendo red, it's an iconic color. So yeah. On the flip side, the console in Canada is going to be $630 for the non-bundled console. The Nintendo Switch for me is a secondary console. It's not a main console. It's something that I play about half as much as I do my PlayStation, which is what I would consider my main console. And paying a premium price for that is a non-starter for me. I might get a Switch 2 someday, but the thing is the big seller for me in the short term is Metroid Prime, as I've said. And I'm not falling for the trick that if I want to get the best experience, I need to pay $650 to play it. Because that is a game that is made for the Switch 1 and slightly up-res for the Switch 2. And mouse controls, it's not enough. So I'm sorry, but paying a premium price for what is a secondary console for me is just, it's not going to happen. It's coming at a bad time too. It's like an expensive time of the year, but just generally speaking, I was really taken aback by the price. The Switch, to me, one of the key selling points to most Nintendo consoles was affordability, and they crossed the line with this, I think. So, yeah, and that's, you know, when I started by saying I was pretty disappointed, like without the price, I'm like, okay, this is a good start. This is a good launch, but the price for me is just, I don't know, they missed there. And I think I don't know if it's a direct currency swap. Like I feel like there's something more in there because it's $450 in the States. So I would normally estimate that to be just over $500 Canadian, but for some reason it's so much more than just the exchange rate. So again, I don't know if, go ahead.
According to Google, I just looked up the conversion rate. 650 Canadian dollars is 457 United States dollars.
Okay.
And then it compares minimum wage, and Canadian minimum wage is 17.
The exchange rates are at an all-time low right now. So,
Yeah.
not
Canadian,
all-time, but
Canadian minimum wages are almost 2.5 times what US are. So
yeah. So
you're paying the same and making more, Dave. What's your problem?
Well,
you broke?
We're paying more for living, but it's just too expensive. It's not what I want to pay. That's a premium price, and Nintendo Switch 2 is not a premium console to me. Yeah, I mean it is a premium console, but it's not a primary.
Sure, I understand what you mean. Yeah,
I think that's what I paid for my PS5 digital. So sorry, it's too much.
But what about this, David? The Joy-Cons can be mice.
I did say someone suggest that you could play Metroid Prime like a first-person shooter.
Oh,
Like you could literally. I haven't seen it tested, but somebody suggested that. So that's cool. It's not $650 cool, but yeah. And I mean, I'm running a risk there because Metroid Prime 4 could run like Echoes of Wisdom on Switch. So it could very well be made for Switch 1, but so was Echoes of Wisdom. So I'm running a risk there, but for to save $650, I'm willing to take that risk. I played Twilight Princess on the GameCube. There was a couple other games that I played on last gen, and every time I've done it on last gen, I'm like, I'm so glad I did not fall for you got to play it on the new gen because it's, I don't know. Anyways,
I know a lot of people who played Breath of the Wild.
I don't mean to poo-poo on this stuff, but it's just, I don't know. I was really, really surprised by the price.
No, I get it. I mean, that's exactly a lot of people were like, "Really, you're not getting the PS5 Pro?" And I was like, "No." Like I barely play my. That's a different story. I barely play my PS5. It's a secondary console essentially for me, with PC being my first. But I wasn't interested in paying that price for something I wasn't going to play as much as something else. Yeah, cool. Anything else about the Switch 2 in general? It's one of those things that I don't need, but I've known it was coming, and I've been planning on getting it. And short of it being $1,000, I was probably going to buy it still, honestly.
I don't know if it was confirmed before the show, but why does it have an LCD screen?
Because
It's a step down from the OLED, right?
It's a step down from the OLED, but the OLED was not the standard model. I think they positioned that as the premium version. Like the PS5 Pro is the premium version of the PS5. The OLED was the premium version of the Switch. So this is just going to be the standard Switch 2.
but that's just the thing.
Hold on. That would be like saying the PS5 is a step down from the PS4 Pro.
Yeah,
That is exactly what you just said, and that's the logic here. Is why? I don't know.
Yeah,
the screen is weird.
Well, I think the difference is the PS4 Pro didn't have a screen, Dave. Obviously.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why not LED. Honestly, I mean, I feel like that's like a complete standard at this point. So, to Dave's point here, why LCD? OLED, whatever. OLED is a treat, right? It's very expensive, even when LED TVs are cheaper than I've ever seen them in my life. And I remember when they were insanely expensive. Why not at least LED? I don't get the logic behind that aside from just cost saving. I think they probably knew it was already going to be an expensive product, and maybe they were cutting a corner there. 1080p. Oh, also, I do want to mention one more thing that I forgot about. Just like it's in 2002, we finally have integrated party chat, boys. I'm so excited. Xbox had party chat in 2002, and now so does Switch 2. It's about time.
There's going to be some gimmick that makes it not preferable. Yeah.
Welcome to the future, 2002.
Something really interesting that I was thinking about is that every other console eventually gets a price drop. Even older Nintendo consoles have, and the Switch never did.
That's because it's still selling.
I know, but the Switch never got a permanent price drop.
Did like the Wii?
Yeah, I think the Wii did. Yeah,
it did.
I know the GameCube did. I know the Super Nintendo did. I can't remember about 64. I'm sure the Wii did. I think the Wii U did.
Their handhelds did too.
They started giving away Wii U's, I think, at some point, paying you to take them.
Canned good.
The 3DS did when they did further iterations. I don't think the original 3DS ever did, but I could be mistaken because I only ever bought one 3DS XL, actually. But it seems like all their other consoles have gotten price drops through the years. But the Switch never got a price drop. And you're right. It's because it was still selling. They didn't need to. But I also imagine because the components they were using in that system were not cutting edge, they were already the cheapest they were going to get. Maybe not actually. Maybe they went down a couple dollars or something. But generally, when there's new hardware, there's some cutting edge technology in it that makes it super expensive upfront to buy. And then as that technology gets cheaper throughout the years and demand wanes, of course, then the console can get cheaper. But the Switch 2 started off at, this stuff's already old and cheap. And I'm hoping that that's not the case with the Switch 2. I'm not saying that for sake of a future price drop. I'm saying that for I hope it's got some stuff that's not already the bottom price it's ever going to be.
Yeah, that hardware has room to depreciate, whereas I think with the Switch 1 pricing strategy was start cheap and use slightly older stuff. But it bit them in the ass in the end. Like, look at the way we talk about Echoes of Wisdom, which isn't a demanding game. Even Tears of the Kingdom, when your flagship titles struggle and it's not even at the end of your cycle, then I think that risk kind of bit them in the ass a little bit, and that's why they've kind of leaned a little. It seems like they've leaned a little bit more on the technical cutting edge side. This isn't cutting edge, and that probably plays into the price. But that counters what I'm saying a bit. Is there appears to be room for a price drop.
Right. I do wonder if it actually did hurt them in the end that they went the cheaper route, because it doesn't seem like they ever slowed down really. Like it would be insane if it were still selling as much as it did in year 4 or something like that. It doesn't seem like the console ever, like people stopped buying it because it was not great until maybe like right now when the Switch 2 rumors and actual confirmations came out. But now we're just speculating. Guys, we've been here an hour, and that's totally fine. We usually we aim for an hour. We usually hit an hour 20. We have not talked about 3 news stories that we have. We've only talked about Nintendo and conspiracy theories. And then we've also got to talk about what we've been playing. Do you guys have any time restrictions, or do you want to skip anything and save stuff for next week, or how are you feeling right now?
I think we should skip to what we're playing because I feel like we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can just be a Nintendo show. That's fine. The other
Cool.
stories are
I
fine,
never
but not,
thought
like,
that man would
groundbreaking.
say those words ever.
I know.
We flipped. He's the shill now.
He's the
changed
shill.
man. Never
Yeah.
say that about me.
It's funny. One of the news stories we were going to talk about was Ubisoft, and I was going to be very nice to them. So it's too
Well,
bad we
that's-
didn't squeeze that
Maybe we
in.
should, Ben. I vote we talk about it
Let's talk about what we've been
because I'm
playing.
going to naysay it.
What have we been playing? Dave, we'll start off with you because Brandon and I have some similarities here that we can share.
Sure. So one of my resolutions this year was to play and complete 3 like true indie games, and I knocked off one of those this week because I played a game called Spilled. This is a game that came out just last week. It's from a single developer. Her name is, I don't know how to say, it's Lente Lente. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a very cozy, comforting. It was a weekend game, perfect for the Steam Deck. And basically, what happens is you play this little boat that drives around these small little environments, and there are all these like oil spills, and you have to drive over them and clean them up. And you store everything on your ship, and as your ship gets full, you have to go to these little recycling barges and drop off all of the waste that you've collected, and then you get money for that. And as you collect that money, you can use that to get bigger ship collecting or like waste collecting things on the front of your ship, or larger capacity for your ship to collect waste, or you can make your ship faster. And then as you progress, you start to collect other kind of waste. Like there's like a bunch of bottles that you have to push into the recycling barge, and it very much scratched an itch similar to Power Wash Simulator, where like you don't necessarily need to clean the entire like pond or environment that you're in, but you want to. You got to get every little inch of like waste. And it's kind of cool because when you get into a new environment, the water is very murky and it's brown, but as you clean, it gradually starts to brighten up, and you can see like wildlife swimming around and fish, and like the sun starts to come out, and there's this really cool tonal environmental shift that happens. And as I said, it's made by one person. The cool thing is this girl actually lives on a canal boat in the Netherlands, and she just drives around, and she made this game well on the boat. And yeah, it was really, really cool. I was actually in contact with this developer late last year, and it was cool to be able to, talk with her. And then the game came out, and it's actually done really, really well. And it cost me $5. And I finished the game in about an hour and a half. It's literally that small of a game, but part of the reason I finished it in an hour and a half in one day because it was so addicting. Like I just didn't want to put it down. So yeah, really, really cool, relaxing game. It's the type of thing you jump into after playing Doom or something because it's a game you shut off to. And, but yeah, it's really cool to play those things that are made by, small teams or single people who have cool stories like that. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. So, that's Spilled on Steam, and it's very, very cheap, and you should all go check it out. And if you do, leave a review, because games on Steam from indie developers really need that. So
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Overwhelmingly positive, dude. I actually saw this game. I
did
saw this on Twitter, and the lady seemed really cool. So I
yeah,
didn't realize it when you typed it, but I knew exactly what it was once I looked it up.
Yeah, she had a really big launch, and it jumped onto new and popular, which is not easy to do on Steam as an indie. So yeah, I wanted to mention this quickly because one of the rules is my indie games I played had to be not popular or lesser known, and I was afraid this one was going to become popular, so I wanted to get it in there quick. But yeah, I got like all the achievements in like an hour and a half, and but yeah, really fun little game. So yeah, and again, just a PSA: go on Steam, go into the PlayStation Store, dig a little deep, find a game you haven't heard of that's cheap, and support an indie every now and then because they need us, and they're really fun games.
Dave, a nice aside, I will say before you move on. Every 10 cents per sale goes to whale and dolphin conservation.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. You don't see that often. I don't know that I've come across the game. I haven't looked for it, but that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, oftentimes it'll be lump sums, or they'll be like contributing to, like, we're helping support this charity, and they'll put a post up about it. But you don't often see them saying we're directly donating this amount per
Right.
copy sold. That's
awesome.
Yep. And yeah, the only other thing I've been playing is I jumped back into Deep Rock Galactic. I love eating pho. It's the most comforting thing that I eat, whether it's in the summer or the dead of winter. And this is my pho, Deep Rock Galactic. It's so much fun. And every time I jump back into the game, I also jump back into the Reddit, and I posted a link to a Reddit thread from the Deep Rock Galactic subreddit of just how stupid this community is in the best way possible. And yeah, we're getting a new trailer for Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core at the III Initiative next week, so that is going to be exciting because this is going to be a whole new experience for the Deep Rock Galactic universe. But yeah, love me some Deep Rock. I'll stop there and pass it to you guys. Rock and Stone.
Dave, piggybacking off of your, if you see a cheap indie game that looks decent, buy it, and also your Deep Rock Galactic. I don't remember how I found this game, but I know that it is bundled currently. They're separate publishers, separate developers with Deep Rock Galactic. And this game is called A Game About Digging a Hole. And it was bundled with Deep Rock Galactic, which I didn't need because I already own that on Steam and I think every other platform. But it's like $3-ish. I want to say it's like $4 if you don't buy the bundle. If you buy it as part of the bundle, it's $3 or something like that. Whatever the case is. It's a super cheap game. Now, A Game About Digging a Hole is got a really complicated plot. It's a game about digging a hole. I said the name of the game to somebody, and they were like, "What? What game is it?" And I'm like, "It's a game about digging a hole." Yeah, what game is it? I just told you. You go into this backyard and you start digging, and you have a little shovel, and as you uncover rocks and minerals and ore or whatever, you take them to a workbench that magically lets you sell them at your computer, and you get a little money for them. And then you can buy upgrades. You can buy a better shovel. You can buy a better backpack that gives you more storage space. You can buy a jetpack. Like, eventually you can buy dynamite and lights to put down the mine and all that kind of stuff. And you just keep digging. And you could uncover some secrets along your way, and you find more minerals and different types of ores and all that kind of stuff, and they're worth more or less. And eventually you just keep digging until you find the bottom. And there's something that happens at the bottom, and I won't spoil what that is, even though that's not really the point of the game. The game is just about like a relaxing game where you dig a hole. Technically, you can beat this game in under 30 minutes. There's actually an achievement to do so. But I think on average, like a person who's just trying to dig and not like explore every nook and cranny in the backyard of this game would probably be like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Not a lot of replayability, but again, the game's $3 or $4. And it's a small indie dev working by themselves on this, as far as I'm aware. And you dig a hole, and it's very relaxing and a lot of fun. So I would encourage anybody who has like 3 or 4 hours, or $3 or $4 in an hour, go check it out. I think it's been probably on like the front page of Steam or something like that once or twice, and And I'm sure it's not a hidden gem by any means, but it is. I think it's a good use of your $3 or $4. If I had to, if you're like me and you like relaxing, stupid sim games that are mindless, it's a good one. It's a good one for that. And then been playing some Hunt, which Brandon, I guess you're going to talk about. I'll let you talk about that more in depth because you're newer to it than I am. But then we've also both been playing Schedule One. Schedule One is one of these games that, to be honest with you, I was doing a little research for work during Next Fest and saw this game and was like, that looks interesting. And then I forgot about it. And then like a week later, it was everywhere, which is awesome because games that like just the way they do exposure for Steam is really cool, or for Next Fest, and just enabling you to discover games that you're going to like. And they know I like sim games, apparently. Like that's what my algorithm was feeding me. And I found it. And I didn't act on it, unfortunately. And then the train came by. So I'm going to go ahead and let Brandon talk about it so the train doesn't interfere.
Yeah, so I'll just touch real briefly on Hunt. I've only played a couple games since trying it out for the free weekend, and I'm so fucking bad at it. I feel like I've never played a first-person shooter before after playing that game. Nothing profound to say. The game is really cool. I talked about it back then, and I feel the same way. I want to play it more. But Schedule One, also, this is the indie show. Schedule One is largely a one-man development team as well, which is crazy because currently all-time peak for this game is 412,000. Currently playing is 288,000. So this game really, really, really blew up. I don't know. I'm blanking. You become a drug dealer is the whole game. You become a drug dealer and you work your way up from weed to meth to coke. There's a heroin update coming. So it's a lot of fun and it's very, very, very sim-like. But really fun as well. You know, you got to keep your dealers fed. You can go out and deal yourself. It's got some little quirky things about it. The art style is like really bad, but like in a good way. I don't know. It's just kind of came out of nowhere. This really started to blow up, not only on Steam, but on social media, like excessively. Either that or the algorithm fed it to me, but I think it's actually both because a lot of the stuff I was seeing had a lot of likes and views. So, yeah, man, it's a ton of fun, especially with your boys becoming drug kingpins and hiding from the police at night. So, yeah, I can't talk highly enough about this game. $15, I think. So
I think it was like 16 or 17, and then that was on sale though.
yeah.
So it's probably like a $20 game. Yeah.
So it's definitely not a premium game by any means, but it is a premium and feel game. It definitely feels done. In a lot of ways, there's stuff that can be improved on it. Obviously, it's a one-man dev team, but it feels whole. Like
It
it's
is
not
early
a
access.
Is it?
Yeah.
It feels pretty good to me. Is what I'm trying to say. So, anybody who's interested in any sort of sim game, would recommend this one. I've only played a couple. I'm not nearly as experienced with these sort of games as Ben is. So I'm genuinely interested in comparison to other things you've played, how this kind of stacks up. But I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Especially, I will double down on being able to have 4 of your friends in running drugs with you and growing weed and, cooking meth is really, really fun. So
Out of context sounds awesome. It's funny because this game, even though you're selling illicit drugs in some cases, is like really wholesome too. Like it's really nice. As far as how this compares to like other sim games for me, it's a little bit better than a lot of them. I mean, there are some really good sim games out there, but there are a lot of sim games out there that are just like, hey, here's a gas station, you mysteriously got it from your uncle. And then you kind of do the same thing. Like you build up, you service people's cars with gas, you make a little money, then you expand your snack shop. And then once your snack shop gets a little better, you expand your building. And then once your building gets a little bit better, you open up a car wash and a mechanic. And like, that's the same kind of idea. Like you're performing a service in order to make money, in order to perform a different service, in order to make money, in order to then automate it, hopefully, down the road. And that's really what a lot of these sim games are. And that's very much what this is. You can, you can hire dealers and you can hire people to actually do the weed growing and the cleanup for you and everything. You can eventually, kind of sit back and just kind of handle stuff. And like I said, it is an early access. So I imagine down the road, there's going to be, rival gangs and you gotta fight for your territory, and who knows what they could do with it, especially after all the success they've had. But it's great. Like it really is. It's a good sim game, regardless of how you feel about the content therein of the heroin update that may be coming. And it's I don't know, like it's a very addictive. It has a good cycle. I will say this, it's a little more in depth than a lot of sim games. For instance, here's an example. There is a mechanic where, depending on what part of the town you're in, different customers will like their weed. Let's just take that as an example. Their weed to do different things for them. Whether they want it to be tired, they want to go to sleep, they want it to be energetic, they want to whatever. There's a lot of weird things too that I think are more fun to just find out on your own. But there's a lot of stuff they'll do, and you can hire dealers in different parts of the city, and then assign them specific customers. Well, if you give your dealer a bunch of weed that makes people energetic, and the people in that area for some reason want really cheap weed that just makes them fall asleep, then you're going to sell less, and the game's mechanics will actually tell you like these people want this type of thing, and this weed produces these effects and everything. Right. So like it is a little more in depth than a lot of these management games that are out there, and in a good way. It's done better. I think the logic in the game, the way the game is actually written, is better, etc. So that's a cool feature, and then it's just goofy enough to be awesome. Like,
well, let's say I'll give a quick instance, right? So the people in the Uptown area, which is a nicer place that we've unlocked, want for some reason weed that's toxic.
Yeah.
So I started mixing gasoline and Viagra in our weed, and they love it.
And they'll pay a premium for it.
They will pay out the ass for it. Literally. Toxic. I'm putting gasoline in their marijuana.
Yeah. Yeah.
They like it.
Yeah, it's great. it's really great. Not the gasoline and the weed part, but
for them,
the game itself.
Yeah.
For them, it's fine. Yeah. But I'm having a blast with it, and this is one of those games where like I'm sure there's an endpoint to it built in at some point, whether it's in there now or will be after early access. But I could see as they make updates. A lot of times I don't ever come back to these games after I finish them. But as they add in new features and upgrades, I could see myself, popping back in for a new feature, or a whole new tree of, no pun intended, a whole new tree of, experiences you can have. So.
Yeah, dude, I'm seeing all kinds of like maybe future planned updates, like. You know how we kept saying the police are going to come to our house, right? I saw something that was like, there's going to be an incorporated heat meter. So like if you do too much weird shit outside of your house or like some sort of mechanic, the police can raid your shit.
There's a public Trello board that tracks the projects. I'm sure it's not everything he has listed, but you can go in and see like some of the ideas and stuff that he's put up there.
It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
And that's it. I think that's everything we have to talk about.
That's the show.
Oh, sorry, Phil. Did you want to say anything?
Meth and Nintendo.
Oh, Phil's not here. Meth and Nintendo?
That's the title.
Oh,
Meth-tendo?
Meth-tendo,
we're going to get taken down.
We'll just leave it at what it is right now, which is Switch 2 Direct.
Perfect.
Boys, thanks for doing the show with me tonight.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for everybody else for letting us come in here on a different day than normal. Don't forget you can support us on patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1 a month. And you can join us on Discord at handsomephantom.com/discord for free. No money needed. Boys, anything else before we take off out of here?
That's it.
All right. Much love.
Hulk Hogan.
HH, says Hulk Hogan. He started the show and ended it too. Goodbye.